Well, hello, everybody.
Hello.
I can stall for a minute or two, as sometimes people are attempting to connect with various slow devices that you may have at home or in your dorm or wherever you might be. So we'll maybe just stall a minute or two. If for some reason you guys get disconnected or for whatever reason missed a question, I am going to record this, and this will be a YouTube video. I'll email that link to everybody just in case some people were not able to be with us here live. So don't worry if you missed something. I just kind of want to talk about some of the general specifics. That doesn't make much sense, but some of the general ways that the class is going to work differently. And then I can just give a little more information on the lab if needed. If you guys have any specific questions, you're welcome to ask. You're welcome to ask me that as well. So yeah, first of all, I guess we obviously won't be meeting in person. So I'm assuming that you've read through the lab manual for Lab 5A and that you've viewed the video already. That is the basics. I don't intend that to be everything. That was not meant to be the entire lesson. I'm not sure what questions you will have. So a couple ways you can do that. We could reschedule one of these for later in the week, perhaps on Thursday or Friday. You can always Google Hangouts, message me, email me questions, screenshots of your spreadsheet, your graph. Responses to the lab report questions are great because then I can grade them or pre-grade them, I guess. I can take a look at them and I can let you know if anything's missing or if you need to add anything. Also, one of the things that I did just add recently, right before this, is a discussion forum on Blackboard. And so I'm just going to switch over to that really quickly so that you can see. That discussion board, there we go. I'm not sure if it's showing up on your screen just yet, but maybe it is. At any event, it is a discussion board that you can ask questions. If you are having an issue on something, it's odds are that many other people are as well, or several other people are as well. So you can certainly go ahead and post your questions on there. That would almost be preferable to me as an instructor. That way I'm not answering the same question 7 times. I'm happy to answer the same question 7 times. But especially if it's a question about a formula or instructions or directions, go ahead and use that discussion form in Blackboard, and I can respond to that pretty quickly. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask either out loud or over in the chat section. I'm kind of monitoring that as well. If it's easier for you to just go ahead and chat. I appreciate all of your muted microphones. That does help. That's a lesson I think we all learned after the first few video conferences, that a barking dog or loud younger siblings in the background can make for some unpleasant video conferences. So I appreciate all of your virtual courtesy in that respect.
Did you ever figure out what you're going to do for the midterm?
Good question. What are we going to do for the midterm? If we have a midterm, it's going to be something that we do at the end of the semester. So it really won't be a midterm. It'll be more like a final exam. I really have 2 options there. It would be some type of an exam that we would give via Blackboard at the end that just covers the lab skills that we've picked up so far. It's also a possibility that we might not have one at all, that there might just be some additional 1-week lab that we would complete. So that is still in the works. There will be something. What it is, I am still trying to design. I wanted to sort of focus on the main part of the class, which was the labs. If you ask me professionally, the midterm is not a critical part of a lab class. It's important, certainly, as it gives me as an instructor a look at how you're doing and what your progress is to this point. But so do the lab reports, quite frankly. So I'm not viewing the midterm as an absolutely critical piece of that puzzle. Thank you for asking, though. So I need to make that decision in about a week here once things settle down. I think once we have the first online lab under our belts, I can let you know about that. But thanks for asking. Question: will we have the quizzes Monday? So we're done with Blackboard quizzes per se. There will be one additional, if you want to call it a homework assignment, where I ask you to work out some of the math ahead of time, just to save some time, although that's a little irrelevant here since we're not meeting in person anymore. So for the next, for this week, no, but I will be in touch with anything along those lines. There won't be any more multiple choice ones. Let's put it that way. There won't be any more multiple choice reading quizzes. No, I've eliminated those. Good question. Certainly keep asking any questions you might have, either out loud or in the chat bar on the side. I'll give you a minute or two if you want to transition over to the lab manual. I realize that some of you may not have had your lab manual with you, especially if you kind of left in haste or didn't bring it with you on spring break. So I did put a copy of a Word document, copy of the lab report write-up in the Blackboard assignment, just in case you did not have one. So that is there just in case you need one. So I'll give you a minute or two to flip open to Lab 5A in the lab manual. While we are waiting for everybody in the room to sort of get caught up and find that, again, we're looking for Lab 5A in the manual. I did decide to transition this over to an individual lab, and I know that in some ways that defeats the purpose. That was one of the hardest decisions, but with the fact that there's just a limited number of people in this course, I think it makes sense for us to kind of work at our own pace here. If some people are relatively good at the Excel skills versus other people need some help with the procedure, I think I can work with you on a very individual basis, and that's okay in this case. It certainly is okay in a classroom, but if it takes you a little bit longer, that's okay. If you get it done on the first day that it's posted, that's okay too. Or if you're anywhere in between, that's all right. So I did decide to do that. It was a tough decision, but I did decide to just go individual with this. Is there a specific time or due date? I did put the due date in Blackboard as Friday at midnight. That being said, contact me if there's some family emergency. Obviously, health issues can delay that, just as we would in our original lab. If there's something that comes up in your life, just communicate with me and contact with me. Again, because we're all working on an individual basis here, it's very likely I can extend that by a day or two, or at least give you the weekend. But I generally am going to have these due on Friday. So you'll have a week to work on them, yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. Following the lab report, are we just doing the calculation and analysis portion and on?
That's exactly right. So if you read the video, you'll kind of see that I essentially covered the physics on page 1. I went through conservation of momentum, and I ran the experiment for you. You saw the data there of that fun air hockey table that we set up. I'm disappointed I can't have you guys play with that. That was a lot of fun. And then I collected the data. I took the video. I uploaded the video into the Tracker software, and I ran Auto Tracker and inputted the data for you into Excel. So essentially, the first 2 pages of the lab report I did for you. You're welcome. You can start on page 3 where it says Roman numeral 2, calculations and analysis. So that's where I left it off for you, and that data is already pre-copied and pasted into the Excel template. Correct. There's even a little extra credit challenge at the end there. You can go ahead and work out the kinetic energy and see if kinetic energy was conserved. Although the lab manual says if you have time, you certainly should have time because you have all week. If you want to attempt that, go for it.
On the template at the top where our name is, it says movie name. What are we supposed to put there?
That would just be the name of the movie that I showed you. So everybody's going to have the same movie for that. That movie is also uploaded in let's see, is it in Blackboard? I'm not, you can just put the name of the URL for the YouTube site that's there. That's kind of
just the YouTube video.
Yes.
Okay.
That is a little pointless to include, to be honest with you. If you just leave it blank, that's fine too, because I know that everybody's using the same video. That probably didn't need to be in there. Good questions. Anybody else? I'm going to switch back over to the template so you guys can sort of take a look at that at this point. Hopefully you're seeing an Excel window at this point. So again, what you're seeing here, I'm kind of highlighting the data for puck 1 and the data for puck 2 in the collision. These are X and Y coordinates that the tracker software was able to determine based on the video, much in the same way that the software could determine the X and Y position for a projectile flying through the air in Lab 2. It's the same software and the same process here. So your job, as the procedure of the manual indicates, is to graph out position versus time, just to verify that this template is doing what it should, right? Position versus time is velocity. So I switched over to the analysis tab. It should verify the slope of that line should be the velocity here, either for puck 1 before and after, or for puck 2 before and after. So we're just verifying there with that step that that's actually happening. And then this part's up to you. So based on the conservation of momentum laws that I derived for you and that the lab manual did, we should be able to determine a change in system momentum. Of course, the expected value for the change in momentum is 0. We understand that in physics, momentum in collisions is conserved. So the sum of the momenta of these projectiles or these pucks before should be equal. Therefore, the change should be 0. We again calculate a z value, and then the lab manual does provide a few further instructions on that. But that's pretty much it. I'm not going to talk really anymore about the specifics because I kind of went over it in the video. If you guys have any specific questions, feel free to ask now or in the next couple minutes. Again, as you're working through the experiment, I anticipate and expect lots of questions. In fact, I would be scared if nobody asked any questions, although maybe that means you're understanding it and getting it. But please don't be afraid to email me, and maybe the best thing to do would be to post them on that discussion board, because you probably have the same question as many other people do. Also, if you feel that another one of these live Q&A sessions would be helpful on Thursday or Friday afternoon, we can plan that in as well. If you'd rather do the live thing, that's fine. So let me know what you're thinking, and I'm sure we can make it work. Any other comments or questions?
So what do we all need to turn in? Just the lab report and then template with graphs on it?
Yes, and the specifics for what to turn in is included in Blackboard, but you will turn in a PDF or a typed version. As Darby is asking there, can it be typed? Yes, it can be typed. You can turn in a typed version of the lab report or a scanned PDF file. And then you'll also return your completed Excel file. You'll submit both 2 different files in order to turn this in, because you'll get obviously points for your responses on the report and also points for the completed graphs, Excel formulas, and things like that. Exactly. Okay, well, I'll hang out in the room for another minute or so in case you think of any last-minute questions. You can talk to me and ask me or type them on the sidebar. This has been nuts for everybody, so I hope you guys are all doing well, whether you're on campus or not. If you aren't on campus, you missed good old Valpo spring weather. We just got 4 inches of snow last night, so it kind of looks like Christmas out there. So if you're missing campus, you shouldn't miss it for the weather. It's been really terrible, cold and rainy and snowy. So hopefully the weather is better wherever you're at. But my best wishes to you, and stay healthy, stay safe, and be in touch. Be in touch online. If you have any questions or comments at all, you guys know how to get a hold of me. So with that, I think I'll sign off. Take care. Have a good evening, everybody.